Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we will be reviewing that religious movie called The Passion of the Christ that was released in 2004.
Yep. Now, some people are going, why are we doing this sort of movie? Now, this is a biblical drama film. Now, we've said many times before, we do horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and what we deem to be other good movies that we think are worthwhile doing as a podcast. Now, reason being, the thing that got us with this one is the fact that there's so much controversy with it. The critics were for and against it. There's a little bit of middle ground, not much. There's, how do you put it? There was anti-Semitism claims against it. However, it was made for $30 million, and at box office at $612 million. It was a top-rating movie, I believe, for that year. And in the non-English speaking world, it is the top grossing to date.
Yeah,
so it's a very good movie.
Just so you guys know, today is Easter Sunday.
We're recording on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, so by the time you may get this, it will be already
a week
or so later.
So we thought we'd do something.
We thought we'd do it now.
Eastery.
Yeah, we thought we might do it now because I was going to do it a week before Easter, but I guess I got caught up with some other stuff.
And we had to bring kids and stuff, different things happening. Yeah, all good groovy things.
So anyway, I wanted to do something to, I wanted to review one of the latest religious movies, and I wanted to pick one that was very impactful.
Something different, and this is a bit different. I mean, we could have done something like
King
of Kings or the Ten Commandments or something. Whatever. Ben-Hur. Yeah,
we've already done Ten Commandments last year.
We could say do that sort of stuff, but the point is
do it them anyway.
We want something different.
Yeah.
And this is different.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this one is close enough to what it was really like back in those days.
Well, that's what Mel Gibson actually said when he was being interviewed. He wanted to make it as true to life as possible. What would have happened 2,000 years ago? Yeah. It wasn't romanticised. It wasn't a quick slap on the wrist. There you go. See you later. No, he tried to brutalise it because that's how it would have been back in those days.
The critics guys would say it's brutalising, but bear in mind this is torture-related stuff.
And that's what it
meaning
would have done.
They would have, apart from the whipping on the back, the crown of thorns, he was brutalised by both the priests and the soldiers.
It wasn't a good. It was how do you put it?
He was even given throughout the whipping and the bits before the cross. Yep. He was pushed, prodded, kicked, punched, hit in the whips, caged, stuff like that. Even getting punched in the eye.
It's based on the last 12 hours of his life, and that's when all the nasty stuff was happening.
All the stuff that's never written in the Bible because they didn't think it's relevant.
That's where some of the critics got it wrong. There could have been more spiritual stuff in it, and it wasn't about that. It was about the passion of the Christ, the way he was taken into custody, beaten, and crucified. Yeah,
and bear in mind, this is...
don't keep dwelling.
Okay, bear in mind, this is mostly about how vulnerable he was.
Yeah, just like an ordinary human being. Yeah. Now, here we go.
Go on.
Right, Passion of the Christ, 2004 American biblical drama film, produced by Mel Gibson, a Australian boy. He used to be a neighbour of ours years ago, sort of, next suburb anyway. Mel Gibson, Bruce Davey and Stephen McEfferty, I think it is. They produced it. Mel Gibson actually directed it. Mel Gibson wrote the screenplay along with Benedict Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I imagine this Benedict guy would have been the guy who helped with the subtitle. I mean, the languages.
No, they used somebody else for that.
Oh, I see. See, this is all done in Hebrew language.
Well, Hebrew, Aramaic, and different things. A bit of Latin thrown in there. Yeah.
So
so they use subtitles. So he wanted to make it feel real, and that's what they would have been speaking in. So he did it that way.
Yeah, and as I may have told you guys in the past, the Jesus back then would have been called Yeshua.
Look,
I'm just telling.
That's what they call him today.
I know. I'm just telling these guys that Jesus was just an English name that we
Anglicised. In Latin countries, it's called Jesus. Get over it. It's okay. They're still calling Yeshua in today's language.
Uh-huh.
Okay, right. Now, like I said, the dialogue is entirely in Hebrew and Latin and reconstructed Aramaic. Mm-hmm. They actually used somebody from some sort of college or museum or somewhere to help with the translation and that part, not the other guy. The other person wrote the dialogue within.
Okay.
And then it was converted to Aramaic and Latin and whatever for the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Like I said, $30 million to make it. It's a bit over $600 million at the box office, and that doesn't include home media sales. So it was a good money. Oh, here it is. Film grossed over blah, 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 blah. Became the 5th highest grossing film in 2004 internationally. Yeah, that's internationally.
Yeah, you may have heard me mention when we were doing the Ten Commandments, this was described as the highest grossing movie since the Ten Commandments one, with Charlton Heston.
Well, this is the highest grossing inflation adjusted. It is the highest grossing inflation unadjusted Christian film of all time. So obviously the figures quoted here are relative to 2004, not today's figures that are higher. It received 3 nominations, the 77th Academy Awards in 2005 for the Best Makeup, Best Cinematography and Best Original Score. So it had a lot of good groovy things happening in it.
Yes.
Now, in Israel, the film was banned from theatrical showings, but you could actually buy it and hire it and stuff for home use. There were a lot of controversies, different governments around the world. Some thought there's some anti-Semitism, whatever that word is, against the Jews there, but it's history. If you made a movie about World War II and put Adolf Hitler and a Nazi party in a bad light, well, that's history because that's what they did.
Yeah,
so
bear in
they
mind,
can't
guys,
say,
this did happen, guys. The priests who were the Jewish priests and some people who refused to change for the better were against Jesus, and most of them were Jews.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the way it was. So, but that's just the way it is. So deal with it, guys. Okay, now the main actors, Jim Caviezel, whatever. I can never say his name properly. Caviezel. He plays Jesus. He does a very good role in this too.
Yeah, I think so.
Maia Morgenstern plays his mother. Christo Jivkov plays John. Francesco DeVito plays Peter. Monica Bellucci plays Mary Magdalen. I wonder if she's related to John Bellucci or just a similar name. There's lots of other good groovy people in there playing big roles and Caiaphas and everybody else, but we won't go into them. But there's it's the cast worked well.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. I did think that Jim did play an awesome role of Jesus.
He really interpreted the role quite nicely. Yeah. And then, now, for some of you people who may not be overly spiritual, okay, fine. Treat it like an ordinary movie, okay?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what it is. It's about a man who got beaten up and crucified for his beliefs.
Yeah, if any of you guys don't really want to listen to this podcast, you can just... you don't have to listen, but we encourage you to listen.
Because it treat it like an ordinary movie, a biodrama, if you will, about an historical figure. Some of you who might be a bit more spiritually inclined, well, you might take it a little bit further. But it's up to you guys. We're not ramming our beliefs down your throat. We're reviewing the movie. Okay?
Yeah.
Right,
so, shall I begin?
Take it away, Grizzly.
Okay, the story begins late at night, probably 3 o'clock in the morning. And
whatever.
Around this time,
after
midnight, indicating that this is around the time when Jesus is praying in the garden. What's the garden's name? Gethsemane. And him and his men, his men are sleeping.
The apostles are having a snooze while he's having a prayer.
Yeah, even though he wakes them, arouses them, says, keep watch, all that stuff, because... And the disciples, as they watch their Lord, they say there's something strange going down with him. He feels afraid.
He is. He knew it was going to happen, obviously.
Yeah, and this is the vulnerability I mentioned earlier, guys. Considering that when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was really scared about doing this next bit that's going to really hurt.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do it.
Neither can I. It is very painful. Meanwhile, while this is all happening, Judas Iscariot goes to the priest, and they offer him 30 pieces of silver in order to betray Jesus, and which they offered him. And then the soldiers, their soldiers, take him by the hand and drag him to Gethsemane.
Huh? He is a Gethsemane. Well, you're saying it's him.
Judas. Judas.
Yeah, they took him up there, show us where he is, nominate which one he is, because they had no idea what he looked like.
Yeah.
They didn't have posters up, wanted man.
Yeah. And meanwhile, while Jesus is praying to his dad up in heaven, the devil, Satan, is wandering around, watching
trying
him.
To tempt him.
Trying to get him to not...
To break.
To break and not do what God wants him to do.
Yeah.
But he eventually continues to stay strong and just stamps on the snake that was tempted to poison him.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Garden of Eden sort of stuff.
Then
they threw a bit of extra,
Yeah.
I had to put a poetic license when they do this movie sometimes.
Satan appears in several of these scenes in this movie,
trying
to tempt him or try to stop him from doing what God wants him to do in order to get to sacrifice himself for our sins, all that stuff. Anyway, back to the story. And soon enough, Judas arrives, the soldiers are at his back, and he approaches Jesus and kisses him.
On a cheek.
And Jesus says, you betrayed the Son of Man for a kiss.
With a kiss. Yeah, and anyway, a bit of a brawl ensues.
Yeah, Peter, James, and a number of the other apostles, they tried to stop the soldiers from taking him, but then Peter, I think it was, who chops off one of the ears of the soldiers' ears.
And he puts it back on again.
Yeah.
He said, settle down, stop fighting, and he put the ear back on, and he went away peacefully with the guards.
Yeah, and while this is happening, as they're walking towards the priests, he's beaten, kicked, slapped,
punched,
even used as a yo-yo in one scene.
Oh, he was chained up and they threw him over the wall. Yeah.
Now you wonder, these scenes might have really took place, guys.
Well, some of it would have been. No one was there to actually see it, but what I spoke to Sarah about before this, that the idea is all the other movies over the years have made it, the Roman soldiers weren't a bad bunch of guys. They were just guys doing their job and yada, 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 and the temple guards were just normal guys. No, they were nasty, vicious, outright, horrible guys who like punishing and torturing people, and that's what they would have done, and that's why the movie has got so much violence in it towards one man.
Yeah. Judas, meanwhile, is he gets creeped out by demons following him. I guess his guilt. He's feeling guilty, and these demons are following.
He's being persecuted. All the demons are in the shape of little children, but they're teasing him and poking fun at him, and he's going mental. He tries
to return the money when he sees Jesus in pain and mistreated by both soldiers and the priests, and they just say, "Take the money and go." But unfortunately, he gives back the money and just throws it in their face. And he then gets chased down by the demons, and he hangs himself.
Yeah.
The end to him, anyway.
Some people say, little children? No, they were demons.
They were demons
it was
in
a
disguise.
Psychological thing. They used them in the form of children. Yes.
Yeah, they were really creepy, and I guess he's the only one who's seen them. Anyway, back to the story.
Possibly.
Of course, the priest slap Jesus, hit him, punch him, give him a black eye.
And they gave him a kangaroo court, and they say it trumped up charges. They said, he did, he's that, he said something else, blah, blah, blah. And it was all fabricated.
Yeah, they made up excuses. They even say when he was saying to his apostles about eating the bread and wine and saying flesh, yada, yada, they try to make out that he's asking them to be cannibals and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It was all symbolic. Yeah.
And all that stuff.
So they lied and persecuted them.
And got a few of their own people to accept bribes to make up excuses for him.
Make stories,
Anyway, so back to the story. James arrives at Mary's place telling her the bad news that her son has been dragged off to the priests and all that stuff. And so she and Mary Magdalene and they head down and try to watch what takes place, and of course we get a few upset moments where she's watching her son getting beaten down by these guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, soon enough, they drag poor Jesus to Pilate. And Pilate doesn't see a reason to persecute a man like this
the
Jesus.
Jewish people, the Sanhedrin, they wanted him executed. They took Jesus to Pilate, saying, "Well, we got no laws to put a man to death. And only Rome can do that."
Yeah, and then
Pilate represented Rome.
Yeah. And when we hear that Jesus was born in Bethlehem and all that stuff, that's Herod's problem.
Herod Antipas.
So they drag him to Herod, but Herod is too drunk and too idiotic to talk to.
He's always come over as the fool, even in the Bible. I don't know if he's inbred something or other. He wasn't a very smart man.
He was like his father in that respect.
Well, no, I know his father was maybe not as bad, but Herod and his brother, he had a brother, I think.
I think you did.
And, maybe a bit of inbreeding or something. I don't know what happened, but I don't think he was a full quid.
Yeah, he's a man with not a full. He has a half bag of marbles, like one.
Yeah, half bag of marbles. That's it. Yeah.
Anyway,
a sandwich short of a picnic.
Yeah, he tries to test him, try to get him to do a miracle
or two,
but of course Jesus remains silent as the grave around him.
Yeah, and so he didn't do anything, so Herod got the shits with him and sent him back to Pilate.
Yeah, Pilate has his own problems. Like, he doesn't know how to prosecute a man who may be innocent, and thinks that if he does go ahead with the with the priests, what they wanted, then he would get a riot of Jesus' followers. And if he doesn't do anything, the priests and their followers would have a riot.
An uprising, so he can't win either way.
You can't win either way.
And that's the bit where he washes his hands of the whole lot and says, "Hey, okay, I wash my hands of the business. Yeah, I'll have him done."
Before that comes to it, he decides to have him whipped 30 or 40 times, I think it was, right?
40 lashes, yeah. And now the point,
now this is where it gets gross.
Now, let's get, only reason I'm going to stop here, with the reviews that the critics did, someone said, it's too much violence. No, it said, they know violence makes money in movies, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't done for that. It was trying to depict what he really went through.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, some of you older people would have seen King of Kings.
Yeah, and other Jesus-related movies.
That was a really fine movie. But when they did his scourging with the 40 lashes, it was just like a leather strap and didn't break his skin, just had a couple of welts on his back. It wouldn't have been that easy. That'd be a walk in the park. That'd be a nothing. And this depicts how the Roman soldiers would really have tortured and scourged somebody. Yeah. And this is what Mel Gibson was trying to achieve. Yeah. And some of the critics missed it.
Yeah, they
had no idea why.
They failed to realise that in the King of Kings, the other Jesus movies that came before this, they were walks in the park, as you said, Mike.
And they were just romanticised crap.
And they romanticised the stories. And they were more to do with the fact he did these miracles, he was born, and
they didn't focus on the torture.
And they didn't focus on the outcome of of what happened after.
I think the King of Kings was his last week or something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So they had some spiritual stuff come into it and everything, and then he got taken to custody towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the last third of it or something or other.
Yeah, so back to the story.
Whatever.
So they whip him severely. They use first they use some sticks.
Yeah, it's not like canes. Yeah, like canes. You go to school, take the cane out, slap the child's hand. May not be doing that nowadays too much, but I got it when I was a kid.
They also use the special cat o' nine tails type whip.
Yeah, towards the end of it, they changed over to cat o' nine tails, which actually pulls skin off your body.
Ouch.
And that was a bit bloodthirsty.
Yeah,
but
there was a scene
they would have used them. That was part of their equipment.
Yeah, there was a bit where we saw a bit of skin came cripping off, and you could see a little bit of bone.
Yeah, rib bones and stuff, which would have probably happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and
not a very nice
eventually
way to be
soldier arrives, the head captain, I think, and he tells him, "You're not supposed to beat him senseless."
He's supposed to beat him, torture him, punish him, but don't beat him to death. And they were actually getting into it.
Yeah. Soon enough, they uncuff his handcuffs, and they dragged his sorry body out of there. And while this is happening, Mary meets Claudia, I think it was.
Claudia,
the Pilate's wife, who's, I heard she was a big supporter of Jesus. And she felt sympathy for Mary and gave her some towels to wipe the blood from the whipping
Yeah,
post.
I don't know why I did it. Maybe you have to clap after the whipping of your beloved.
Yeah. We get several flashbacks with Mary of her son, where he was working as a carpenter, and another scene where she's cradling Jesus as a 2-year or 3-year-old.
Or whatever he was, and he fell over or whatever.
Yeah.
You think of it, just little flashbacks like that.
And Mary Magdalene also has a flashback of when the time Jesus defended her from being stoned. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to the story. Jesus is back with the Pilate again, and Pilate is trying. He tells the people that they did the whipping. He's badly injured. He doesn't need any more punishment at this point. But these priests won't let it go.
They weren't crucified.
Yeah, and Pilate feels like he wishes that Jesus just speaks up and all that stuff, but Jesus continues not to speak up. He says, and defend himself. He says that it's in God's hands for him to be crucified.
So anyway, long story short, Pilate washed his hands and said, okay, I will authorise it, but it's not my doing, it's your doing. Put it back on the Jewish people.
Yeah, so they then get a cross ready, and Jesus takes a long walk to the hill. And all along the way, we see people either spitting on him or some grieving for him.
Yeah,
and
some throwing little rocks at him.
Yeah.
Now, it's supposed to be down the Via Dolorosa. Now, if anyone's been to Jerusalem, the road or the alleyways where the Via Dolorosa is supposed to be isn't the right track anyway. And even if it was, it's been buried and built up over the years. It's probably about 20 metres below that ground level anyway. So it's in the same general area, and that's where they have the annual processions celebrating Easter.
Yeah. So anyway, they continue on, and we see Mary watching, and eventually, as he falls down, she has that flashback I mentioned. She comes over to Jesus and says, I'm here, and stuff. And then he says to her, Mother, I'm going to make everything new things. Meaning, he's going to create something new.
And actually, that was I think that's actually wasn't out of that part of the Bible. It's actually out of Revelations.
Wow, amazing.
To make everything new again or something.
Yeah.
That comes out of Revelations. So they did borrow loosely from other parts of the Bible.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a very touching moment. And anyway, back to the story. Eventually, a man was summoned by the crowd to help
Simon of Cyrene.
To help Jesus carry the cross.
Because Jesus was 2 weeks after he's brutalized. His scourging.
Yeah. And during his times of falling down, he I think that in reality, Jim might have dislocated his shoulder during the cross bearing.
Actually, during the course of this movie, Jim, I cannot say his last name. Sorry, Jim. Didn't he say he dislocated his shoulder? He got struck by lightning.
Yeah, and the whip itself kind of really hurt him in real life too. I suspect that Mike doesn't agree with me, but I like to think that maybe God was making sure he's understood and knows that what Jesus has gone through.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the story.
Moving right
the Simon or whatever.
Simon of Cyrene.
Tries to defend Jesus and yells that if you do not stop beating him, I won't help him carry the cross. But I think he wants to defend him too. But he feels like he's a convicted man. He probably never met him or ever saw his Sermon on the Mount.
No, but he still didn't think he deserved to be beaten and treated that way while he's going to his death.
Yeah, another woman approaches Jesus and offers her veil to wipe the blood off his face and offer him a drink, but of course the drink was knocked from her hand.
Yeah, you're not getting no drink. Yeah.
So they continue on until we get to the hill where and 2 other prisoners are going to be crucified. Yeah,
the hill is Golgotha. Some people refer to it as Calvary, but it's Golgotha in real name.
Now this comes to the really grisly part where he crawls to the cross and they lay him down on it and they nail both hands and his feet to the cross. And so you guys know, we watched it yesterday, and me and Mike wanted to turn away when we saw this bit. I can't help but feel like it's really sad, this bit.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. And it's, for those of you who aren't totally cold-hearted and steeled against this sort of stuff, you look at this and say, shit, this is worse than a slasher movie. Mm-hmm. This is what this one guy went through in reality, not in a make-believe version like Halloween or Friday the 13th.
And while you guys may not think this part seems very painful, well, hold on to your hats. They turn the cross over on the other side, and this causes him for the nails to continue sinking into his palms.
Yeah,
and they decide,
more pain.
And while they're doing this, they're nailing the ends of the nails,
bending the end of the nails over, don't pull out.
So they won't pull out. Yeah. Now that will be painful.
That would hurt.
And the next painful bit was when they turned over the cross again, and bam, right, and that would have caused a bit of back damage.
Yeah. And then they stood the cross up and plonk in the hole. Yeah. That would not have been fun.
No, it wouldn't. Eventually, the two other men are put up again, on opposite sides to him.
Two criminals.
And of course, there's a sign that on the cross to Jesus saying, "Jesus of Nazareth,
King of the Jews."
King of the Jews.
And the Jews didn't like that because they didn't say he was a king. But but they had a sign put on each of the crosses saying what their crimes were, and his crime was being king of the Jews.
Think of it as a headstone, fellas.
Okay. So that's what that little plaque is on the top. That who he was and what his crime was.
Yeah.
It wasn't saying, "Hey, he's a really nice guy." No. That's what it was.
One of the men on the the left-hand side begins to yell at Jesus, "If you're the real Son of God, you should save yourself," and all that stuff. But the other man on the other cross says, "We are guilty of our crimes."
This man's done nothing.
And
blah blah.
he then tells Jesus to remember him, and he says, "I promise you will be in paradise with me."
Yeah, tonight.
It's a nice gesture, and it was a way of saying he forgives him for whatever he's done.
See? A deathbed confession. There you go.
Anyway, Mary's looking up at Jesus, crying, and she says, "Blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh."
That's also good groovy stuff.
And Jesus says to her that, "Mother, look upon your son."
No, woman, behold
your son.
And he
said, "Son, behold your mother."
He's talking to his mother and his brother, James. Yeah.
And
which means hang in there for each other.
Yeah. We then watch as clouds start forming in the sky, and then Jesus raises his head to the heavens and says, "It's finished." And he doesn't say it first. He says, "My God, why have you forgotten about me?" and all that stuff. And then he says, "It's finished." And then he lowers his head. Then we get rain, and then we start experiencing an earthquake. And this is where this part of interesting part I should mention. He prophesied about the temple being destroyed, and then in 3 days we rebuild. While this may be not really relevant, but
it is because you're wrong.
But somehow the temple itself did get destroyed, and the priests were shook when they saw the results.
There's no basis in history or anything in the Bible. All they said is the veil in the temple would be torn in two.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, as symbolic, saying the holiest of the holies, the inner sanctum, was no longer holy.
Yeah.
And the bit about this, the temple would be destroyed within 3 days, rebuilt. That's talking about him dying and being resurrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone hears the earthquake. Even Pilate hears it and feels like something's going down. And eventually, the captain of the guards, he tells his men to quickly kill, knock the knees of the prisoners' legs because
you got it wrong.
Okay.
They said, because of what's going on, the weather was changing, earthquake. They said, okay, to hasten the death of the people on the cross, they would break their legs.
Okay, they break
so
their
they
legs.
couldn't support themselves. So what would happen? They can't support themselves. They would hang lower, and they wouldn't be able to breathe properly, so they'd actually choke.
So both two criminals, they had their legs broken.
They're going to do Jesus, but he's already dead.
Yeah, but the captain says,
Just
make sure.
So that's
he
put the old spear into his side.
And this is where the Bible indicates this.
Now, I'll explain this to some of you people who might be uninitiated. In the Bible it says, and water and blood poured from his side. Water and blood did not pour from his side.
Yes.
Don't say I'm wrong. I know what you're thinking. What's actually happening? You can ask a doctor this. Blood has plasma, which is clear. The red blood cells, the hemoglobin, are red. When the body dies, they start to separate. So when they pierced his side, the plasma had separated from the red corpuscles, and so it looked like you had a clear liquid plus red liquid coming out. Okay?
True.
So it looked like water and blood, but it was actually plasma and red corpuscles. Now, that, they didn't know what they were seeing, but that was recorded in the Bible, and that actually is what would really happen if the body was dead. So go figure it.
Yeah. Anyway, and don't tell me he just took a nap, okay?
He didn't. No, he got better and went for a walk. No.
Anyway, so they eventually let him down. I think that according to scriptures that would...
They got permission to take him down early before the Sabbath.
Yeah. By
get him into a tomb.
Joseph of Arimathea, who was another priest who was present, but he was a really good priest.
I don't know if he's a priest or a merchant. I can't remember.
I think he was a priest, and he believed in Jesus' ministry, and so he offers his unused tomb to Jesus' mother and to her family.
Yeah, so they could they lie his body in there.
Yeah, so
and the idea was to put him in there and come back after the Sabbath and clean his body up.
Yeah, so they lower his body at this part where he's cradled by his mum makes me think of this Michelangelo statue. I think it was made by Michelangelo.
In St. Peter's Basilica.
Yeah, that makes me think of that.
And I think it was done that way.
Yeah.
For that reason. Yeah,
Later on, after 3 days, I think it was.
3 days, He's in the ground. Like Jonah in the whale for 3 days.
Yeah.
Temple's been rebuilt in 3 days. 3 days,
After 3 days, the stone that concealed the tomb rolled away. We see a bit of white light peering, into the room, meaning it's daylight, and we see the body of Christ somehow slowly the shroud around him is slowly dissolving, and there next to the shroud is Jesus. His skin cleared up. He's no longer got blood or cuts all over his face, and the only thing we see as he stands up are the holes in his hands. And he slowly emerges and goes on his merry way.
Don't see it.
The end.
Yeah, the end. Fade to black. Now, you're probably saying, well, that's not so good. It's the movie itself. The graphic way they depicted the torture, the actual whole dramatisation, that's why it makes a good movie. Again, I'm not trying to force our opinion on you. If you're not spiritual, fine. But it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
It's been done well. It does take you back to that time, and that's what a movie is supposed to do. It made you feel like you were there watching what was going on, and that makes a good movie to me. Yeah. Now, a few things, a bit of behind-the-scenes stuff. The raw material.
Right.
The source material. Yes, they took stuff from the New Testament. They took stuff from the Old Testament. They did bounce a few things around there. They took stuff out of Genesis and something out of Revelations as well to pad out some of the lines. But basically, they took it out of... here it is. The line Jesus spoke, I make all things new, came out of the book of Revelations, chapter 21, verse 5. Not bad. Pretty good, aren't I?
I read somewhere that the Revelations was written by the last disciple who was exiled to either to a planet.
I can't remember who wrote Revelations.
And whether or not he wrote it, or he asked someone to write it for him.
I don't know, but the point is that I don't know who wrote it. And to me, Revelation's a little bit like Nostradamus. It's written in a way it's hard to actually understand for a good reason. So people go, and people have been looking to try and decipher Revelations for so long, they can't. It's not meant to be deciphered. Mm-hmm. That's it. Anyway, Old Testament, I took a few things out of there. Stuff, I won't go into what it is. The part where he crushed the serpent's head, that was out of Genesis, verse 3:15, whatever. And Jesus was quoting things out of Psalms, and some was actually made up for the movie as well.
Yeah, I got to admit, I did like at the end when Jesus did finish his work. We see Satan screaming like he lost the game.
He did, yeah. Now, traditional iconography and stories and different things, well, they actually incorporated the stages of the cross in some of the imagery.
Really?
Yeah, I won't go into it. For those of you who know what stages of the cross are, you Christian folk out there, they actually incorporate that actually into the movie. Some of the scenes they set up. What else? They kept all traditional names out of the Bible to keep it real. Now, the script and the languages. Okay, right, okay. Mel originally announced that he would use 2 old languages.
Wonderful.
Without subtitles.
Ooh.
He thought that way. No, it'd rely on the film telling the story. It's like watching a silent movie without the flashcards.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so you can't see. You see you follow the actions. Yeah, everyone knows the story.
I know.
Yeah. But someone suggested he have subtitles. So he's only put in the basic subtitles, and when the guards were saying rude and nasty, horrible things, they didn't worry about putting those subtitles in.
Good idea.
No, because it would have been saying crude, nasty, horrible things, and they weren't relevant to the storyline anyway.
Well, but they did in some scenes where they're mocking Jesus for being a king, and all that stuff. That I guess that does.
No, some of the parts they did, and some of the parts didn't. And when they're kicking him and stuff, and he's carrying the cross, they're saying things to him. They didn't put in like they could have been using foul language and stuff.
Yeah,
and
horrible stuff.
And it takes away from the story. Now, the script was written in English by Mel Gibson and Benedict Fitzgerald, then translated by William Fulco, a professor at Loyola Marymount University. He transferred it into Latin and reconstructed Aramaic.
Well done.
And the people, obviously, the actors had to learn how to speak in Latin and Aramaic.
That must have been really hard for them to say the language, but at the same time
not really, because if you write the language down and then you write it out in English phonetically, the way it sounds, and then people can read it in English the way that make the sounds, and that's what it would be in Latin or Aramaic.
Considering that when you look at when you're sounding out words in scripts, and if it's in English, if you're accustomed to another language, you know exactly what you're going to say and how to preside the feelings behind it. In this movie, it had all these different new languages, and it made me wonder, how would you be able to, put the right emotions behind it? I said it before on that you have to put the right set of emotions behind certain words.
You know what the words are. Just because you're saying a foreign language, you know what the words are. You've got to translate. You're saying blah, 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 and the words are in different language, so you're stimulating it. Well, Jackie Chan, good example. He speaks English in most of his movies, but he doesn't speak English all that good, so his early movies, he had a very, very limited command of the English language. He was just saying the words he'd been told to say, and do his martial art stuff.
Exactly so.
So yeah. Anyway, now filming. Right. It's an independent movie. Mel, obviously. It was shot in Italy at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, and on location in Matera and the ghost town of Krakow, both in the Basilicata region. Never heard of it. Anyway, I can't say too much about this. He did actually do, when he had the movie done, or pretty much done, he actually put it through a lot of tests with Christian evangelists for them to actually watch it, to see if they saw any problem with it. And quite a few thousand people saw it before it was actually released.
Oh.
He was getting their approval to make sure they were happy with it before it was released. So he went through thousands of different Christian groups to do a test run before he let it loose. And here's something, there's a contradiction in here.
Okay.
The Pope liked the movie.
Ooh.
But somewhere said, oh, the Vatican didn't like the movie. Well, the Pope liked the Pope's a film buff. He said it is what it was.
Hear that, guys?
He said that's the way he saw it in his own mind. He saw it, and he thought it was a good depiction of what happened.
Yeah. So the Vatican disliked it, but Pope liked it.
No. You're missing the point. The Pope is the Vatican.
Oh,
okay?
sorry.
It's his say, and he said it was good, but some reports say, oh, the Vatican didn't like it.
Oh.
Yeah, but the Pope actually liked. The Pope was a film buff. Yeah,
well,
he liked films, and he liked the movie. He thought it was a good movie, and it did not take away from the Bible. And it wasn't sensationalism the way he envisaged it would be anyway.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people just don't. I just wish people took it like as it is, considering that this, as I said before, guys. The crucifixion is no picnic, no walk in the park.
No, and that's what Mel was trying to do, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. Now, there was also hints of anti-Semitism brought into the movie, trying to make the Jews look in a bad light.
Oh boy!
That's like saying, "Oh, we do a World War II movie and Hitler and doing a movie from the Allied troops' perspective and showing Hitler and the Nazi Party in a bad light." Well, they did. They started the bloody war, and they invaded Poland, and they supposedly incarcerated Jews and executed people in gas chambers and different things. You can't gloss over it.
Yeah,
okay?
guys.
So when the Jews had done something naughty 2,000 years ago, you can't say they didn't do it.
Yeah,
You know,
that doesn't wash.
It doesn't wash. I mean, I get over it when people say, "Oh, but looks is a bad light." It's history, and the people worried about what history's going to do. Oh, look what you did. I'm sorry, but I know for a fact that a couple of years back, I think John Paul was the Pope at the time. He invited some Jewish leaders to visit him at the Vatican.
See?
And he welcomed them like brothers.
See, guys?
There's no animosity between the Catholics and the Jews, and it should from a high level, so it shouldn't be in the streets.
Yeah,
okay?
I just don't think they should take this movie and stride with it, because it wasn't. I mean, take away the parts with the bad priests and everything.
Exactly.
You have Mary and you have James and you have all the other Jewish people who are just on siding with Jesus, and at the time they were still Jews.
Just a small party, small part of the Jewish community were manipulated by the Sanhedrin, and they said, "Well, we want this our way," and they just talked them into it. Anyway,
just remember there were a few Jewish people who were on the side of Jesus.
We didn't want to make this a spiritual.
I know.
Theological.
I'm just saying these guys didn't even realize that this is not poking fun of the Jewish customs.
Anyway, here we go. Now, audiences polled and reviews done and everything else. It was a mixture.
Okay.
However, Rotten Tomatoes gave it about 49%. I said, director Mel Gibson's zeal is unmistakable, but The Passion of the Christ will leave many viewers emotionally drained rather than spiritually uplifted. It was not a spiritual movie. I think you guys lost the plot. You were supposed to be emotionally drained because you're feeling what he went through.
Yeah, his pain, his misery, his
Metacritic
whatever.
only gives a rating, doesn't tell you what the consensus was. They got 47 out of 100. Now, audience polled by CinemaScope gave the film an A+ grade.
Good, great.
And a positive review 4 times. The critic Richard Corliss called The Passion of the Christ a serious, handsome, excruciating film. Why excruciating?
I don't know.
Maybe that radiates total commitment. New York Press film critic Arnold White praised Gibson's direction, comparing him to Carl Dreyer and how he transformed art into spirituality. Ooh. White also noted that it was odd to see director Mel Gibson offer audiences an intellectual challenge with the film. It made you think. You thinking man's film? Thinking person's film? Yeah, right.
Well, this movie does make you think, and despite what people have said here, it's supposed to be, not drain you, but to make you feel wake up and realize that he was what he went through.
Yeah, what really happened. And now here's a guy or his group But being his original guy, Roger Ebert, he's passed away now.
Okay.
From Chicago Sun-Times, gave the movie 4 out of 4.
Ooh, that's a high approval.
Now, I don't always agree with Roger Ebert because sometimes he gets on to this, I don't like that sort of movie, so I'm going to grade it down.
He gets on his high horse about this.
He used to, but that's okay. He's a critic. But
okay.
4 out of 4, calling it the most violent film I have ever seen, as well as reflecting on how it struck him. A former altar boy, so he's a Catholic, Christian.
That's right.
What Gibson has provided for me for the first time in my life is a visceral, idea of what the passion consisted of. Because no other movie had dared to go that far.
No, of course not.
So Mel Gibson was trying to make it real.
I think that back then, before the Passion of Christ was released, I think people try to tone it down so that people won't be either offended or, like you said about the other cultures, they didn't want it to be made out to be the enemy or the baddie guys.
That's all. But it's history. You can't get over it. Yeah. I mean, American Civil War, you had the good guys and the bad guys.
Me and Mike here, we're half Italians here.
I'm half Italian, I'm a Christian.
And
there you go.
That does not mean we're Caesars or anything like that.
No, and I believe the Roman Empire was a nasty pack of buggers when they took over other countries. I'm that part is shameful.
Yeah. People like Pilate and, let me see, what's his name? Cornelius. Now I remember him. Cornelius, who was a born-again Christian too. These guys were Roman guys, and these guys, they were not over-the-top baddie Roman guys. They pretty much knew what to do and knew that Jesus was innocent and all that stuff.
Okay. Now, Mel Gibson was interviewed by Diane Sawyer, and he said during the interview, I wanted the movie to be shocking, and I wanted it to be extreme, so that they see the enormity of the sacrifice, to see that someone could endure that and still come back with love and forgiveness.
Exactly.
Even through extreme pain, suffering, and ridicule. The actual crucifixion was more violent than what was shown on film.
Yeah.
So he didn't make the crucifixion. He didn't work on that. Wait, stop.
Go on.
Okay, I say the crucifixion. It would have been worse than what they showed on the movie, but he didn't feel any reason to prolong it. So he wouldn't get the movie wouldn't have gained anything out of it for having more brutal stuff done on the cross. Now, some of the critics also mentioned things about the extreme violence. They didn't understand the movie. It was about the last 11, 12 hours when he was going to be beaten and scourged and whatever, and that's what went through. If you don't understand the movie, don't comment on it.
Don't watch it.
Yeah. Some of the guys call it a snuff film.
What's that mean, a snuff? I keep hearing that a lot.
A snuff film is one where they depict a murder or something really nasty and try to depict it lifelike on film.
I see.
Yeah, glorify it blow by blow, cut there. Yeah, when you try to make it real on screen on film, and it wasn't. It was trying to show what happened. I think I hate
that these people keep glossing over and not realizing what Mel Gibson is trying to convey.
Trying to show what really happened, where all the other movies over the years have made it like, he's been a naughty boy, let's slap him on the wrist and send him home. Oh, by the way, can you stay out there on the cross? Okay, fine, not a problem. No, he went for a lot of pain.
Yeah. He didn't survive it, bear in mind.
I would have given up in the first 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's amazing he didn't die because of being whipped almost a lot.
Anyway, forgetting the spiritual side of it. Because, obviously, I don't want it to become a spiritual platform.
Nope.
Or theological, or anything else.
Right.
But it's a damn fine movie based on a real occurrence. It's a biodrama. Right?
Right.
That's all it is. A biodrama based on 11 hours of a man's life. That's it. Okay? For you spiritual people, well, you know what it is. But the people who aren't that spiritual, it's a biodrama, okay? Mm-hmm. But remember, this guy is a real person out of history. These events really happened.
Yeah.
Now, whether you want to believe the spiritual side of it, that's up to you.
There is another crucifixion I should mention. Mike here will tell you, called Sparta.
Who?
Sparta, whatever his name is.
Spartacus,
sorry. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
he got crucified and died.
A bunch of people got crucified. There was a slave uprising or something, or some rebellion, and they got all these people, and I think it's called the Appian Way, and leading out of Rome, or leading into Rome, whichever way of travelling, and they had crosses lining the road, saying all these people were hung up there to suffer and die. As a warning to anybody else.
Yeah.
I think it was hundreds of crosses up there. Yeah.
I think the most worst type of crucifixion, aside from Jesus' one, was Peter.
Peter got hung upside down. Yada yada yada.
That would have been painful.
We are not doing a spiritual review.
I know, but I do often think that would have been a little bit more painful, considering the amount of weight.
He was hung upside down. I think he said.
He was not worthy of being...
He wasn't worthy to be executed in the same way as his Lord, so they said, okay, we'll hang him upside down.
Ouch.
That would have hurt, because he would have been hanging from your feet, and the nail through your feet would have, you've been pulling on all your tendons and bone. It would have really hurt.
Ouch.
Anyway, now,
Going back to
look, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. And it's not because I'm a Christian. It's not because I like Mel Gibson. As a case, I think it's a damn fine movie.
I'm going to give it a 10... 10 and a half out of 10. It's just that good, guys, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to review this one, because it is the top depiction of Jesus' life and death.
It's a biodrama. Okay?
Well, not his life, because this one was dealing with his death,
the
obviously.
last 7 hours or whatever. Yeah. It's a biodrama, and it's well done, and obviously the source material is out of the Bible. You got a problem with that? Don't worry about watching the movie.
Incidentally, I heard they were making a sequel out of this after the...
they still haven't decided...
And they haven't bothered to release it yet.
Well, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, they were going to bring back Jim here, but by now he's probably gotten a little bit older, and as we pointed out in the past, they can't just go ahead and say Jesus has gotten older in the past 3 days after the crucifixion.
But they can backdate it with makeup and a bit of CGI and stuff, make it a little bit younger. They do it with Arnold Schwarzenegger every time he becomes a Terminator.
Yeah, you have a point there.
So, it doesn't matter.
But in this case, I don't think they can do it, unless they've already filmed those scenes, but they haven't bothered to edit it.
I read in the notes as far as I know, even up to just about 2 years ago, I think, it'd been sent the script, and they're still kicking it around, and nothing's happened yet. I don't think they're going to do it.
I think it's good. It's kind of... I think I would like to leave it as it is.
Oh, yeah. How do you do a sequel to something? Is it sort of like then you're steering away from the truth?
Because after the crucifixion, it's mostly about he does get resurrected, but he only stays a little while with his guys, and then he goes off to heaven and prepares
preaching to the world. So what are you going to? So
it mostly focuses on the apostles
doing their bits,
doing their own bits,
and that could end up being boring for some people.
Yeah, this one is a bit more opening your mind a bit when you think about it. That's the whole point of this movie, to open your mind. Yeah,
look, I remember a long time ago when I was a young man. That is a long time ago. The musical version of musical came out. JC Superstar, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
And the church, I don't know about around the world, but the church in Australia said there was nothing wrong with it. It may not be totally accurate, but it didn't take anything away from the Bible or any spiritual teachings. And in fact, it made people who didn't go to church go to see the stage play, the musical, and maybe opened up their eyes to Christianity, and they might have actually read some literature or something or other, and might have converted to Christianity or gone back to church. Whatever. It's a tool for, I call it, a thinking person's movie.
Yeah, putting your thinking cap on.
Yeah. So, okay, if this is real, It's very important.
Exactly.
Actually, someone actually wrote, some writer, I can't remember who it was now, he made a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
He said, if the Bible is a load of crap, or something like that, didn't say crap, if it's a load of crap, it doesn't mean squat.
Did he put the squat part in there?
No, his language, I can't remember what he said. But he also said, however, if it's true, it's the most important thing in the world.
Good.
It's up to the individual. Make your own mind up. I know where my mind is.
Me too.
But I'm not going to sort of tell you my bit, but have a think about it, guys.
Yeah. So
but the world will be a better place if people sort of... Yeah, you know.
So, Mike, is it on Amazon or on... Is it on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever?
I'm going to tell you that now. I've just written down... I always jump in on me when I'm doing
I'm just
stuff.
wondering.
Okay, watch out for VHS, being a slightly older movie. However, it is available on eBay. There's plenty for sale. Amazon, there's plenty for sale and appears to be rentable.
Cool.
They've got two listings there. One says it's rentable, one says unavailable at the moment. So I don't know. Amazon, get your act together. So it's definitely for sale, and it's Blu-ray, it's standard, you got it, but watch out for VHS. It's a good movie. Look, if in doubt, okay, others are going, well, I don't know, yeah, it's a Christian movie. Okay, look, go on YouTube and see if you can download the trailer and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And see what you think. Then you might be tempted to go and rent the copy from Amazon or buy a copy or whatever. They're not expensive, but if it wasn't a good movie, it wouldn't have made so much money at the box office.
Yeah.
So a lot of folk went and saw the movie, and a lot of people have bought it since then. That's their collection. So
I don't believe the comments went from the reviewers where they said they only made it gory
they weren't in tune with the movie.
Yeah,
the movie was about that part of his life, which was a brutal part of his life. It wasn't the spiritual part. The spiritual part is the part that led him to this bit, and that's it. Yeah. So these people obviously weren't tuned into the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised most of them may have not believed in religion and stuff.
No, they might have, but they've got to be in tune with what the movie's trying to achieve. Now, if you go on a holiday, right? You're going to do a travel log. You take videos and stuff. You expect that video of your travels to be the video of your travels.
True.
What you saw. Whether the people you show it to like it or not is a totally different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you seeing that for? That's just some trees. No, that's countryside. Yeah, move on to the next bit. I didn't like that bit. Yeah. What's that over there? They don't care. The person who made it cares, but the people who watch it are saying from their own perspective. Yeah. That's where the critics need to get their reality checks done. Yeah,
I'm kind of happy that Mel he's a bit of a religious person himself.
Well, I don't know if he's religious himself, but obviously he took the time to make this movie because that story hasn't been told properly before.
But I think it adds a little bit of meaning for him.
More depth.
Yeah, but it adds a meaning for him. It might strike a bit of a strong need that he wanted to do.
It could have been.
I mean, he was the one who put up money to this project.
He put money up, or one of the producers. But he wrote it.
True.
And directed it. He had a passion for it.
He had a passion.
His own passion.
He had his own passion to tell the story the way he sees it.
Yeah, and based on the biblical accounts, whatever. And he put together the way he would know. He knew from history the Romans weren't nice guys.
Unlike Ripley's Scott's version, where he did of the one of the Moses movies, and then much later they did their own Moses with Russell Crowe of. When they did the Noah's Ark, I don't really like those ones because they don't really speak the story.
That Noah's Ark one of Russell Crowe wasn't any good. I mean, it was a good movie, but it wasn't biblical.
Yeah,
it was all fanciful stuff.
And the Christian Bale one, obviously, that one was more to do with
where
in that one they made out that Moses was a warrior, not a spiritual leader.
He would have been a leader, but there's nothing to say he wasn't a warrior as well.
True.
He had to be a leader, had to be a strong man. Who knows?
But when he ran away, he became a shepherd. Yeah. Because he had to support himself that way.
Yeah, but the whole point is Moses was a warrior. He lived in Pharaoh's household. He was in charge of soldiers. So he would have been trained in weaponry and battle. Battle. Yeah. So he would have been a warrior.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why some of those I could see why some people not like that one or the Noah's Ark one, because it just takes the whole God aspect away from it all.
Yeah, you got these fallen angels or something rather helping out as giants. No.
The Nephilims, whatever.
Nephilim, whatever. Really? And you're going, come on, that wasn't in the Bible. That's just been made up by some idiot writing the script. And that's one thing I don't like about some people doing movies based on a religious theme, but then throwing the Bible out the window and making it up as they go along.
Yeah. Making out that there was fairies that may have helped Noah instead of...
I think it was Nephilim or something rather, who actually fallen angels or something rather, and they did their bit and then they're going to heaven or something. That wasn't in the Bible. That was just made up by some guy who wrote a script saying, this is a good idea.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of articles about people discovering Nephilim bones, but actually those photos were Photoshop jobs. Yeah. I've seen the photos and they don't look real.
Well, they do look real. That's the whole idea of a good Photoshop guy, but the point is, if you go there, you look a bit deeper, you find that these are part of a contest.
Yeah.
A lot of these were saying, these were submissions for a contest.
Yeah.
And they made giants up and different things.
And they used photos from actual bones from normal-sized skeletons and just blew them up.
Anyway, this is getting a bit long-winded now.
Yeah, sorry, guys. So that's about it for us tonight, guys. Be sure to watch it and let us know in the comments what you guys think of the movie. If you're not religious, you just go ahead and watch it all the same.
Okay, we're not trying to beat our drum as Christians. Okay. Look, we've done over 200 movies
now. We have done like 199 episodes.
We don't do religious movies all the time, okay? So, but when we do, it's
so by next week we'll be up to 200.
Yeah. So we're not it's not a Christian platform. It's a movie review platform, okay? But those of you who may have not seen this movie, of course, it's a Christian movie. It's a biodrama about a Christian.
Yeah.
Get your head around that. Have a look at it, and you might appreciate what Mel Gibson has achieved trying to depict these last 11 hours of a man's life. And you might actually see things in a different light.
Exactly. So, guys, feel free to check it out. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of it.
I hope you like it. I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, you got to read subtitles though, because, like I said, it's done in Latin and Aramaic to try make it real.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that someone approached Mel and tell him maybe you should put some subtitles in there to make sure the audiences understand who's talking what and stuff like that.
Yeah, because everyone knows the story, but to somebody who isn't up to speed with the Bible, it would be really, really, really nice to have a few subtitles.
Yeah, it's just like when you watch a silent movie and you don't have
no flashcards.
No flashcards.
That's a bummer. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, sometimes me and Mike would often watch a silent movie. Douglas Fairbanks once, and sometimes we put words into the character's mouth.
Oh, what are you going to do? I don't know. Let's go to McDonald's. That's a good idea. Let's go. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, even though we do read the text, obviously, just so you know we're not cheating or anything.
They don't have a lot. They do flashcards come up, but when you go with the mouths flapping around, we just put some words in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, enough. These people want to go to bed.
All right. Thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. We'll see you guys for our next one. Bye for now.
Bye.